time now for the week that was, for us to continue looking at top stories that made headlines around the globe this week. And we start here in Nigeria. The Nigeria Labour Congress, otherwise known as the NLC, has issued a 2-week deadline to the federal government to reverse the twin hike in electricity tariffs and the increase in fuel pump prices, or risk a nationwide industrial action and street protest. Well, NLC President Ayuba Waba disclosed this in Abuja after the union's Central Working Committee and its National Administrative Council met to review the outcome of the meeting between the federal government and the labour leaders. Waba says the 2-week ultimatum will end on September 28th, after which organised labour will have no choice than to proceed on a national strike in partnership with its civil society allies.
Right, interesting.
Yes.
What Labour, their point was that you can get Nigerians suffer for the inefficiency over time of government. Government is a continuum. So it's not a question of whether it's PDP or APC or CCC. Over time, these events have been out there playing out. And so you can get the people to suffer for it, you know, even with the explanations government had to give about where they are and why they had to do this. So Labour, I don't know, it's neither here nor there. People support the government, but Labour are supporting their people. So it will be a question of meeting how, again, they can disagree to agree, meeting each other halfway and see what gives.
I think that's the best we can hope for. Ultimately, with ultimatums, you put the power in the other person's hands. And if the government at this point says, or whoever says that they can't feasibly negotiate a term that would equal paying less at the pump or paying less for electricity, then that's just it, because you'd imagine that the federal government gives the lowest price it can offer to its people. You'd like to imagine that they aren't intentionally keeping prices high for no reason. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not there'll be negotiations within this 2-week period, or whether or not there'll be silence and then strikes would ensue.
And you know, one can't help but it's about understanding both sides. Even the 18,000 minimum wage, some states are not paying it. Some people have lost their job within the era of COVID-19. People have been suffering. So that's why I think Labour is trying to see what they can negotiate out of this, you know, while government is asking them, no, don't, because we're in a dilemma. This is what it is. And it's something that should have done way back, you know. All right, we continue with the week that was. The United States on Monday imposed additional visa restrictions on individuals for undermining the democratic process during the November 2019 Kogi and Bayelsa state gubernatorial elections and in the run-up to the September 19 and October 10, 2020 Edo and Ondo gubernatorial elections. Edo is happening today. In a statement by State Department spokeswoman Morgan Ortagus, the U.S. said, quote, "These individuals have so far operated with impunity at the expense of the Nigerian people and have undermined democratic principles," end quote. The Department of State emphasized that the additional visa restrictions are specific to certain individuals who were not named, by the way, and not directed at the Nigerian people. It also urged all stakeholders, including the Independent Electoral Umpire, INEC, the political parties, and the security services, to uphold the tenets of democracy and facilitate genuinely free, fair elections conducted in an appropriately transparent and non-violent manner.
I mean, it is interesting to see the United States involve itself in this way in Nigerian politics, and not even on a national level, on the very much the state level. And they've said that that's because they felt as though these targeted individuals played a role in the violence that happened in Kogi and Bayelsa last year. And in the run-up to what was happening here in Edo State, today rather, I guess it's a preemptive mission. I do think when the news first broke, it was a little unclear that, well, you know, why are the US getting involved and how does this affect the average Nigerian? We do know that every Nigerian, apart from any type of COVID-19 protocols, are free to apply for a visa to the United States. But it is interesting to see how the United States have put themselves in amongst the inner depth of Nigerian politics. It's still not clear why they feel as though they wanted to strike out in this way. I understand that protecting democracy is an international duty, especially from one of the biggest democracies in the world, but it's still quite interesting to identify why you are so interested in Nigerian state elections.
I have a very different view about all this. I believe that in Africa, in Nigeria, we shouldn't be, getting cold, like they say, catching cold when the international community or United States cough. I believe Africa should begin to be able to handle their own things. And even if you look at America today, would you say that democracy is playing out the way it's playing out?
Exactly.
You see,
they're not the greatest example of democracy as it stands.
Even in Britain now, Johnson is trying to tinker with an agreement that's already been signed, and he's losing people. So I am at a loss always when Nigerians seem to run, the moment America speaks or other parts of the international community speak. I particularly don't subscribe to that. We should begin to be able to handle our things in Africa and begin to ask them questions as well, because there are so many things that's gone under the water. You talk about how the colonization era and how question of retribution. It was the world in the first place, the international community that even kind of, if you want to use the word in quotes, messed up Africa and all that. So I am totally of a different opinion. We should be able to handle our things here, not to run to America or to have America interfere. Nobody should interfere in
I don't see Nigeria getting ready to say that, if they feel as though democracy isn't being held in November for the US presidential elections, that Americans would struggle to get visas to Nigeria. So I wonder why there's so much weight on the other side.
That's my idea of this whole thing. They shouldn't be pulling us by the nose and telling us what to do.
Understood.
Then. All right, you're still watching the morning show here on Horizon, so we'll be back in a bit. Stay with us.
The morning show here on Horizon News. We continue with the week that was, and ahead of Nigeria's 60th anniversary on October 1st, President Muhammadu Buhari unveiled the logo and the theme for the country's Diamond Jubilee celebration. President Buhari, who disclosed that the word together is a single-minded proposition around which the entire anniversary celebration would revolve, also unveiled the Diamond Jubilee anniversary logo during the Federal Executive Council meeting held at the council chambers in Aso Villa. He said, celebrating 60 years of independence really calls for pomp and pageantry, but the global COVID-19 pandemic, which has forced all nations in the world to think and act differently, has also foisted on us the imperative of a low-key celebration.
It is to the glory of God and in celebration of the attainment of the diamond age of 60 by our great nation that I hereby unveil the prepared anniversary logo for this momentous occasion in our national history.
I think it's an exciting time for nationalism here in Nigeria. To reach a hallmark of 60 years of independence is an achievement in itself.
It is.
It might not have been the smoothest path to independence in the first place. It might not have been the most smooth transition for the past 60 years. However, celebrating Nigeria's Diamond Jubilee is a cause for celebration, obviously going to be subdued because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But what's really interesting, earlier this week, I don't know if you caught OG's What's Trending segment, where she said that the logo came under some type of fire because that actual diamond that we see in that 60, it was actually taken from a picture taken by Russians who had discovered or unearthed a really beautiful diamond. That's it there on the screen. So apparently there were lots of talk about copyright infringement and the like. Not sure how serious it was taken, but I thought that was an interesting
government have come out to
sentiment.
say it was not plagiarized. They have come out to debunk that
claim.
allegation.
Yes.
People will always find something to say. We interviewed in your talk or something. He loved it. Then he brought out some things as an architect. This was a challenge. So many people,
submitted.
So it was taking. So sometimes we talk from a point of we do not know the things that went on there before they got to this place.
Right.
So it behooves on government to do it. But they've come out to explain one or two things about the diamonds. The president saying that Nigerians are sparkling all over the world. And indeed we are. You're sparkling. I believe I'm sparkling.
You are sparkling too.
So people are sparkling. Yes, like you said, we may not be where we want to be, but we are definitely where we used to be. Absolutely. And we will keep on tweaking it until we get there. That's just the way I look at it. Service is important if we want to get there.